Hi, Laureen Smith here from Tourmaline and Thyme Quilts. We're here today to show you how to make these absolutely wonderful scented relaxation pillows, either for yourself or for your friends. Put them in the microwave for about a minute, wrap them around your neck, and let your sewing troubles melt away. These are very quick and easy to make with a few simple ingredients. We are using today some absolutely fabulous fabric from Timeless Treasures. We've made some pieced versions, as well as the versions that you saw earlier. So what you need is approximately 40 inches by 6 inches. If you don't happen to have one, or you can't decide like I couldn't, you can piece several together and come up with the even more stunning piece. What you'll need is this fabric, as well as some filling material and something for your scent. We strongly recommend using, for your fill material, something along the lines of beans or rice, anything that's a small pebbly type material that'll feel nice as it drapes around you. So we're gonna start sewing these now. As you can see, we have a lovely piece of fabric here. Well, technically it's 3 gorgeous pieces of fabric. I couldn't decide which one, so I decided to use all 3. Timeless Treasures definitely did a wonderful job on these fabrics. What I did, if you decide to cut these, is you make sure that you have equal lengths of each. This is the long piece in the center where we're actually going to fold our fabric. That way, when we match up, our seams will match up. The other thing, if you piece your fabrics together, you want to make sure that you have all of your seams pressing in one direction. So when you fold it in half, they'll actually nest for you. So that's our first step in making this, is you take this lovely strip, whether it be a whole piece of fabric or something that you've pieced together, and you fold it in half. When you fold it in half, you're going to notice that you have these right here where you can nest your seams together. And that'll help you stay on track. What we're going to essentially do now is make a sleeve. Now, I have a 1/4 inch seam here. I have a 1/4 inch foot on my machine, and I put down tape here to help me with the 1/4 inch. It really does help me keep things on track. So we're going to start out here. Some people often ask, if you have pinked fabric, do you go from the top or the bottom? I always go from the bottom, because that makes sure that you will actually reach the entire fabric. I'm going to, again, nest our seam. I am using a 1.5 stitch length. I picked this for one particular reason. We're going to be filling this with some stuff, depending upon what you choose, that may be fine in nature, and you want to make sure that it doesn't slide out. So we've got one side done. We're going to turn her around, and you'll note I always start from the bottom here. And on this one, I'll note that it didn't quite come down to the edge. You want to make sure you get that lower edge of all things you do. That helps to prevent it from slipping out. Okay. I'm going to start the other side. If you note your seams flipping, you can correct them at any point in time. pin, that's fine too. Sometimes I use clips. So now we have a sleeve inside out. Your next step is to turn your sleeve right side out. Okay. See, we had some lovely matched up seams. You want to get these corners to come nice and straight. For those of you with fingernails, it's relatively easy to poke them through. And we're almost done stitching. So what we're starting with here, in this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fabric, is a 6-inch wide by width of fabric piece. I have trimmed off the selvage ends. Fold the piece in half. Match your ends as best you can. Smooth it out and start sewing from this end, the fold end. You want to get as close to the fold as possible so that nothing will leak out later. You'll note I have a 1/4-inch seam line taped onto my machine, as well as using a 1/4-inch seam for my presser foot. You can hear from my machine, you'll see it's going pretty slow. What we have is actually here, I have set my machine to 1.5. This keeps the stitches again really tight so that nothing comes out. You take the sleeve you've just made. You can trim this edge first. And you're going to turn it inside out. I usually just grab the end, pull it through, and then I reinsert my fingers to make sure that I get this point so that you get a nice clean end. So then now we have our sleeve. On to the next step. For our next step, you're going to need the following: a small scale, some sort of cylindrical device. It could be, this is a vase, you can use a pitcher, whatever's going to be kind of tall and thin. You're going to need some sort of a fill material. I happen to buy these in bulk. These are lentil beans. So the lentil beans, they're relatively small, which makes them perfect kind of to fit around your neck with these scented pillows. Now, you can use other material. You can use any dried bean will work. Rice will work. I particularly love the smell of rosemary and lavender. So again, I bought these in bulk. You can buy any dried herb combination that you like. I tend to use things that are a little larger here, so crushed rosemary and the lavender. These pieces are kind of big enough so that they won't fall through the holes that we have here. I'd avoid anything that's powdered, like your spices, because those are probably going to dust and come out of this. So let me explain how we put this all together. So I'm going to take my cylinder here, and I'm going to insert one of my sleeves. Now a pitcher works really well on this. So in this, if you're using an electronic scale or something else, you want to make sure you tare it, meaning set it to 0 after you put everything in it, including your sleeve. And then we're going to start adding material to this. And we're going to add about 2 pounds worth of material. I have relatively small hands, which gets me to about 1.5 pounds. If you have a second person with you, it works really, really well. They can hold the edge of your sleeve for you while you do the pouring in here. It'll make it go a lot faster. You'll note that this kind of starts falling down as we go. And all you have to do is pull it back up, kind of like pulling up your sock, so to speak. If you want it to be easier, you can always fold down the top. That gives you a smoother area to work with. And you'll note that I'm inserting my hand a little ways into the sleeve. That will minimize the spillage and your cleaning up later. It doesn't have to be precise. Close enough is good. So now that you happen to have your lentils in there, I have a few on my table here, which I'll clean up. Now you want to add your herbs. Depending on how strong your herbs are, you add as much as you want. I recommend adding about 2 ounces. Both of these are pretty strong, so if you have a sensitive nose, just keep in mind that you may get a little bit of sniffles as you do this. The smell does dissipate over time, but these 2 particular herbs will last quite a while, and one of the reasons for heating them up in the microwave, one, it helps release some of the oils that are in here so that your they smell good again. And you can see how many handfuls this will take. And you'll note it's not filling all the way to the top. That's the other thing I wanted to make sure that I explained, is that by not filling all the way to the top, you give some room for everything to move around as you pull it around your neck. This one's easier to pour. Okay, so I put my herbs in, and now you're going to take about an inch here. Okay, so you're going to take this, fold it down approximately 1 inch. One of the things that does come in handy when you do this is if you happen to have some of these mini clips, they're fantastic for this next step because it makes sure that, well, you minimize your spillage as you go. Grip down below, pull it out of your container. Now we're filled. On to the last step. We're on to step 3 here. You're going to take your pillow that has your clips on it. You're going to make sure that you've got your 1 inch kind of folded under here. You're going to carefully take your clips off so that you don't spill any of the material or any of the filling. You're going to set your machine to 1.5. You're going to use, in this case, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam. Because you're not doing piecework at this point, it doesn't matter what, how far along here against the seam you use, but the 1.5 stitch length is extremely important because it keeps the material in. I'm going to reverse my stitch to lock it in here. And again, we're going to reverse. Lock our seams. And I'm doing this seam 1/4 inch from the last one. The reason I'm using 2 seams is to make sure that the material stays in, because this will get used quite a bit. With this, you have your finished seam and your finished pillow. Wasn't that quick? Thank you for spending this time with us. We hope that you enjoyed making these. You can tell your friends they took forever. I'm gonna stick mine in the microwave, wrap it around my neck, and relax. Have a great day.